Rain hammered the asphalt like bullets. Thunder cracked the Georgia sky, turning night into flickering daylight for half a second at a time. The storm had come fast, the kind that floods streets in minutes and turns highways into rivers. Theo Carter gripped the steering wheel of his Ford F-150, 22 years old with 200,000 miles on the odometer. The wipers fought a losing battle against the deluge. His headlights carved weak tunnels through the darkness. He was heading home from a late job in Buckhead. $75 cash to fix a busted disposal unit in a mansion kitchen bigger than his entire apartment. The kind of place where people didn't know what things cost because they never had to ask. The digital clock on the page read 11:47 p.m. Maya would be asleep at her grandmother's house, safe, warm. That thought was the only thing keeping him calm as he navigated the flooded roads. Then he saw it. Headlights, wrong angle. Twisted metal wrapped around an oak tree that had probably stood there for 100 years. Smoke rising from the hood, gray tendrils swallowing the rain. Theo's foot hit the brake without his brain making the decision. The truck fishtailed, stopped. He was out the door before the engine finished shuddering. Water to his ankles, then his shins. The storm was trying to sweep him sideways as he ran toward the wreck. Mercedes S-Class. Midnight blue. Custom paint job. The kind of car that cost more than most people made in 3 years. Front end crushed like a beer can. Driver's side door crumpled inward. Through the spider-webbed window, he saw her. A woman. White business suit soaked through. Hair plastered to her face. Eyes open but unfocused. Blood trickling from her temple. The airbag had deployed, but she was trapped. Seatbelt locked tight across her chest. She turned her head slowly, saw him through the broken glass. Her lips moved. No sound came out at first. Then a whisper that somehow cut through the storm. Help. Theo didn't think. His body moved on instinct, muscle memory from another life. He slammed his elbow into the window. Safety glass exploded inward. He reached through, ignoring the cuts opening on his forearm. Can you breathe? She nodded. Barely. I'm going to get you out. Don't move your head. His hands found the seatbelt release. Jammed. He pulled the multi-tool from his pocket, the one he carried every day because a man who fixes things for a living never knows what he'll need. The knife blade sawed through the belt in 4 seconds. She collapsed against him. That's when he smelled it. Gasoline. Sharp and chemical, mixing with the rain. We need to move. Now. He pulled her through the window. Her weight settled against his chest. She was shaking, whole body trembling like she was freezing despite the warm October night. Theo half carried, half dragged her 20 feet from the car, set her down on the muddy grass, went back for her purse, saw it on the passenger seat, grabbed it. The engine sparked. He had maybe 3 seconds. Theo threw himself over her body just as the gas tank ignited. The explosion turned night into noon. Heat washed over his back. Debris rained down around them. A piece of burning metal landed 6 inches from his head, sizzling in the wet grass. Then silence. Just the rain drumming on metal and earth, and 2 people who were alive when they should have been dead. Theo lifted his head, looked down at the woman beneath him. Her eyes were wide now, focused, staring up at him with an expression he couldn't read. Fear, shock, something else underneath. You're okay, he said. You're safe. She tried to speak. Couldn't. Her breathing was coming too fast, too shallow. Panic attack. He'd seen it before in the military, in men twice her size after firefights. Breathe with me. In through your nose, count to 4. She shook her head, gasping. Yes, you can. Watch me. 1, 2, 3, 4. He breathed slowly, deliberately, making it visible. Eye contact steady, commanding but not aggressive. After 10 seconds, she started to match him. After 30, her breathing evened out. Hospital, she whispered. 20 miles. Roads are flooded. I'll call an ambulance, but they're slammed tonight. He looked at her pupils, equal and reactive, checked her pulse. Fast, but steady. You need to get warm. Check for shock. My place is 2 minutes from here. She nodded, too exhausted to argue. Theo carried her to his truck, set her in the passenger seat, cranked the heat. She was unconscious before he pulled back onto the road. The apartment complex sat on the east side of Atlanta. Working-class neighborhood, chain link fences, cars from the late 90s, kids' bikes locked to porch railings. Theo's unit was on the second floor. 2 bedrooms, $980 a month. He'd lived there for 3 years since the divorce, since everything fell apart. He carried the woman inside. She stirred but didn't wake. He laid her on his bed, the only real bed in the apartment. Maya's room had a twin mattress on the floor. Theo slept on the couch most nights anyway, couldn't get comfortable knowing his daughter didn't have better. He covered the woman with 2 blankets, checked her breathing again. Pulse, pupil response. The EMT training from his Marine Corps days never left you. It lived in your hands, in the automatic way you assessed and acted. No broken bones he could find, cuts and bruises, possible concussion, but stable. She'd be okay until morning, until he could get her to a proper doctor. Theo stripped off his soaked clothes in the bathroom, caught his reflection in the mirror. 36 years old, but looking older lately, scar across his collarbone from Fallujah. Another on his side from a bar fight 3 years ago, when some guy thought a black man in his neighborhood meant trouble. He was 6'1", still in decent shape despite the manual labor slowly breaking his body down. Broad shoulders, hands scarred from years of fixing other people's problems. MIT graduate, mechanical engineering, full ride scholarship. That was another lifetime. Before the war, before Teresa got sick, before everything. He pulled on dry clothes, grabbed a pillow and a thin blanket. The couch would be his bed tonight. Through the doorway, he could see the woman sleeping. Her purse sat on the kitchen counter where he'd set it. Expensive leather. Probably cost more than his monthly rent. He looked inside, not to steal, just to find ID in case something went wrong overnight. Driver's license. Elena Maria Ashford, age 32. Address in Buckhead, the rich part of town where streets had names like Tuxedo and Habersham. Theo pulled out his phone, Googled the name. The first result made him blink. CEO, Ashford Industries. Net worth estimated at $2.4 billion. Featured in Fortune magazine's 40 Under 40 last year. Youngest woman to run a Fortune 500 manufacturing company. He looked at the photo on his phone screen. Same woman, different person. In the picture, she was composed. Hair perfect, suit sharp, eyes cold. In his bed, she looked human, vulnerable, small. Theo put the phone away, turned off the lights, lay down on the couch that was 6 inches too short for his frame. Tomorrow would be complicated. Tonight, he'd done what any decent person would do. Saved a life because it needed saving. No other reason required. Sleep came hard, but eventually it came. Minutes 8 to 15, the morning after, Theo woke to sounds in the kitchen. Sunlight streamed through the blinds. The storm had passed. His back ached from the couch. For a moment, he forgot why he wasn't in his bed. Then he remembered. He sat up, turned around. Elena Ashford stood in his kitchen wearing his white dress shirt, the one he'd left draped over the chair. It hung to mid-thigh on her. Her hair was still damp, messy. She was making coffee, moving around his kitchen like she belonged there. Theo's mouth went dry. She turned, saw him, smiled. Not the cold CEO smile from the magazine photo. Something warmer, almost amused. Good morning. Her voice was smooth, controlled. You really don't remember last night, do you? I remember pulling you out of a burning car. After that, you passed out. I brought you here, put you in my bed. He stood up. You were wearing my shirt. You left me in wet clothes. She took a sip of coffee. I found this. Hope you don't mind. Mind, that was an understatement. She looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine spread. Comfortable, confident, in his home, in his clothes. I can call you a cab, Theo said. His voice came out rougher than he intended. No need, my driver's on the way. I sent him my location. Your driver? He's been circling since 6 a.m., tracking my phone. Theo blinked. You could have left hours ago. I wanted to thank you properly. She set the coffee cup down. And return this. She gestured to the shirt, but she didn't move to take it off. Just smiled, testing him. Footsteps in the hallway, small ones, fast. Maya burst through the door. 7 years old, brown skin like her father's. Hair in two puffs, one slightly higher than the other because Theo still hadn't mastered the symmetry thing. Backpack bouncing on her shoulders. Daddy! She froze. Saw Elena. Who's that? Elena knelt down to eye level. Just someone your daddy saved? He saves people? He saved me. Maya looked at her father with new eyes, like seeing him for the first time. Are you a superhero? No, baby. Just did what was right. That's what superheroes do. Maya walked closer to Elena. Why are you wearing Daddy's shirt? Maya. Theo's voice had an edge. Go get your shoes on. But I want to know about the lady in Daddy's shirt. Now, please. Maya pouted but obeyed. She disappeared into her room. Elena stood up. She's adorable. She's my world. I can tell. Elena reached into her purse, the expensive leather one that probably had a French name Theo couldn't pronounce. She pulled out a wallet, started counting bills. Hundreds. This should cover last night. She set a stack on the counter. Theo counted without touching it. 25 bills, $2,500. What's that for? For helping me, for the bed, the clothes, everything. Something cold settled in Theo's chest, something that felt like being insulted in the most polite way possible. I didn't do it for money, she shrugged. Then consider it a donation. For laundry, that shirt probably needs dry cleaning now. The cold feeling turned hot. Theo grabbed the money, shoved it back toward her. Take it back. Her expression didn't change. Cool. Collected. Most people would take it. I'm not most people. She tilted her head, studied him like he was a puzzle, something fascinating and confusing at the same time. No, you're not. She picked up the money slowly, folded it, put it away. My mistake. I thought I was being generous. Generous? Theo laughed, bitter. You think throwing cash around makes you generous? You have no idea what generous means. Enlighten me. Generous is helping someone because it's right, not because you owe them, not because you can afford it, just because they need it. She stood there, silent. For the first time, she looked uncomfortable, like she'd been slapped and didn't know how to respond. I see, she said quietly. Do you? Theo turned away, anger still burning in his chest, hot and righteous and maybe a little unfair, but he couldn't stop it. Because from where I'm standing, you just tried to turn a decent act into a transaction. The air between them grew heavy, thick with tension. Finally, she spoke, voice softer now. You're right, I apologize. He didn't respond, couldn't trust himself to speak without saying something he'd regret. Elena walked toward the door, stopped, looked back. What's your name? Theo Carter. Theo Carter. She repeated it slowly, like memorizing it. I won't forget it. Then she left. The door closed softly behind her. Maya emerged from her room, shoes on, backpack ready. Is she your girlfriend now? No, baby, she's complicated. I think she likes you. What makes you say that? Because she looks at you the way you look at pancakes. Theo burst out laughing despite himself. Like I want to eat her? Like she makes you happy. He picked her up, spun her around. You're too smart for your own good. Grandma says I get it from you. Grandma's very kind. Minutes 15 to 22, Theo's world. That afternoon, Theo picked Maya up from school. Washington Elementary, 90% free lunch rate, metal detectors at the entrance, teachers who cared despite being underpaid and overworked. They stopped at Kroger on the way home. Theo counted his money carefully. $43 until Friday. Needed to stretch it for 3 more days. Rice, eggs, vegetables, maybe chicken thighs if they were on sale. A treat for Maya if he could manage it. At home, he turned on the TV while cooking. Local news played in the background. Maya did homework at the kitchen table, tongue sticking out in concentration as she worked through multiplication tables. Then he heard it. Breaking news. CEO Elena Ashford, head of Ashford Industries, survived a near-fatal car accident last night. Sources say a local resident pulled her from the burning vehicle just seconds before it exploded. Theo froze, wooden spoon in hand, staring at the screen. There she was, the woman from this morning, but different. Sharp business suit, hair pulled back, standing in front of the glass tower 40 stories high. The logo behind her read Ashford Industries in letters that could be seen from a mile away. The reporter continued, Miss Ashford declined to name her rescuer, but she did say this. The screen cut to Elena, microphones in her face, cameras flashing. He was kind, humble, and he refused payment. That's the kind of integrity you can't buy. Theo stood there, mouth open, brain trying to catch up. Maya tugged his sleeve. Daddy, that's the lady from this morning. Yeah, kiddo, it is. She's famous. Seems like it. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know. Maya's eyes went wide. You saved the CEO. That's so cool. Theo turned off the TV, went back to cooking. But his mind was racing. Elena Ashford, one of the richest women in Georgia, known for buying out companies, building empires, crushing competitors. And he just yelled at her, thrown her money back in her face. He laughed, couldn't help it. Well, that's my luck. Maya climbed onto a chair. Do you think she'll come back? I doubt it, honey. People like her don't come back to neighborhoods like this. I hope she does. I liked her. You like everyone. Not everyone, just people who are nice. And she seemed nice, under all the fancy stuff. Theo smiled, his daughter, always seeing the good in people. Maybe she was right. Maybe Elena wasn't just a cold businesswoman. Maybe she was something more underneath. But he'd never know. People like her lived in a different world. That chapter was closed, or so he thought. Minutes 22 to 30, the building and the offer. 1 week passed. Theo tried to forget about Elena Ashford. He had work, bills, a daughter to raise. That was enough, more than enough. Then the letter came, thick envelope, law firm letterhead, the expensive kind with embossed letters. Theo opened it, read the first line, stopped breathing. Notice of property ownership transfer. He read further, hands starting to shake. The building he rented in had been sold. New owner, Ashford Properties LLC, a subsidiary of Ashford Industries. New terms, $0 per month rent for 5 years. Option to purchase the entire building for $1 after 5 years. Theo read it 3 times. This had to be wrong, had to be some kind of mistake. He called the property management company. Mr. Carter, yes, we've been trying to reach you. The new owner would like to meet today at 3. Can you make it? Meet me? Why? They didn't say, just said it was important. Theo went, left Maya with a neighbor, drove to the address they gave him, an office building in Buckhead, glass and steel, 30 floors of corporate power, elevator to the 15th floor, conference room with windows overlooking the Atlanta skyline. And sitting there in a navy blue suit, hair pulled back, was Elena Ashford. Mr. Carter, please sit. I'll stand. What are you doing? Direct. I like that. She opened a folder. I purchased the building you rent. 12 units, 1.8 million. Papers finalized yesterday. Why? Because I could. That's not an answer. She looked straight at him. You refused my money, so I found another way. By buying my entire building? Your entire building. She pushed papers across the table. You have 5 years rent-free. After that, you can buy the whole property for $1. I've arranged everything. Theo stood there, shaking, not from fear, from anger so pure it burned white hot in his chest. How do I make you feel? Powerless? Like someone's controlling your life? Elena didn't blink. Yes, and I hate that feeling. That's why I'm successful. I take control. So this is what? A power play? No, this is me trying to do the right thing my way. Your way is wrong. She stood up, walked around the table. They were only feet apart now. Tell me, Mr. Carter, how many nights have you stayed awake worrying about rent? How many times have you chosen between the electric bill and food for your daughter? How many times have you prayed your truck wouldn't break down because you can't afford to fix it? Each question hit like a punch. You don't have the right to ask me that. I have the right because you saved my life. Her voice softened. I know what it's like to struggle. I grew up in foster care. 7 different families. Hungry, scared, alone. Theo stopped, really looked at her. When I was 16, Robert Ashford adopted me, gave me a chance, paid for college, trusted me to run his company when he retired. She paused. I owe everything to someone who helped when I had nothing. So now you want to do the same for me? I want you to stop worrying about survival and start actually living. Silence stretched between them. You have a daughter, Elena continued. She deserves a father who doesn't work 80 hours a week. A father who can take her to movies, teach her to ride a bike, read to her before bed. It hurt. It hurt because it was true. And if I refuse, then the old lease continues. 980 a month, nothing changes. He looked at the papers, looked at her, looked at the papers again. Why are you doing this? Because good people deserve good lives. I don't need saving. Everyone needs saving sometimes. Her voice cracked slightly. Even me. Theo paused, saw something in her eyes, vulnerability, pain. This wasn't just about him. What happened to you? Elena looked away. I grew up poor. Foster care, group homes. I clawed my way to the top, and somewhere along the way I forgot what it felt like to be helpless. Until the crash. Until you. Until me. She smiled sadly. You reminded me that money can't buy character, can't buy courage, and it definitely can't buy the kind of man who saves a stranger in a storm. Theo felt his anger melting, slowly, against his will. So what now? Now I do something I should have done from the start. She handed him another document. I'm launching a fund for single parents, specifically single fathers, financial support, job training, childcare assistance. Theo scanned the paper. His eyes widened. The Carter Fund. You used my name. It represents the only kind of strength I respect. Quiet, honest, human. He stared at the document, his name in bold letters, connected to something bigger than himself. I don't know what to say. Say you'll be part of it. Say you'll help me identify families who need support. You know this community better than I ever could. You want me to work with you? I want you to guide me, keep me honest, make sure this actually helps people, not just my reputation. Theo looked at Maya's school photo on his phone lock screen, thought about all the nights he'd stayed up worrying, about rent, about food, about whether he was enough. If I do this, we do it my way. No PR stunts, no photo ops, just real help for real people. Elena extended her hand. Deal. He shook it. Her grip was firm, confident, equal. Then she smiled, mischievous. Oh, and one more thing. What? I still have your shirt. Theo laughed. Actually laughed. Keep it. Looks better on you anyway. A knock on the door. Elena's assistant poked her head in. Miss Ashford, the board meeting in 10 minutes. Thank you, Jennifer. Elena gathered her papers. Theo stood to leave. Mr. Carter? Yeah. Thank you for reminding me why I started this company in the first place. Why's that? To help people who helped me when I had nothing. She walked out, heels clicking on marble, leaving Theo alone with a life-changing document in his hands and a feeling in his chest he couldn't quite name. Hope. Maybe. Or something close to it. 2 weeks into his new job, Theo Carter picked Maya up from Washington Elementary like always. 3:15 on a Friday afternoon. October sun still warm but starting to slant lower, autumn creeping into Georgia. Maya came out of the building slower than usual. No running, no smile. Her backpack dragged on the ground behind her. Theo's stomach dropped. He knew that walk. Something was wrong. Baby, you okay? She climbed into the truck, said nothing, stared out the window. Maya, talk to me. A lady came to school today. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. What lady? She said she was my mom. The world tilted sideways. Sharon. Theo drove home on autopilot, brain racing, hands steady only because they had to be. Maya needed him calm, needed him present, even when his insides were screaming. Inside the apartment, he knelt down to her level. What did this lady say to you? She said her name was Sharon, that she was sorry she left, that she wants to see me more. Did she touch you? No, just talked. Ms. Rodriguez was there the whole time. Thank God for that. At least the school had protocols. At least Maya hadn't been alone with a stranger who happened to share her DNA. How do you feel, baby? Maya shrugged, 7 years old trying to process abandonment and sudden reappearance. I don't know. She seemed nice, but you're my parent. You're the one who takes care of me. Theo pulled her close, felt her small arms wrap around his neck. She smelled like school cafeteria and strawberry shampoo, the most precious thing in his entire world. That's right, I'm your daddy. That's never going to change. His phone rang that night after Maya went to bed. Unknown number. Theo answered anyway. Theo, it's been a while. Sharon's voice. Still familiar after 4 years. Still able to make his jaw clench involuntarily. What do you want? I want to see my daughter. Your daughter? You abandoned her when she was 3 years old. I wasn't ready then. I am now. 4 years, 4 birthdays, 4 Christmases. Not a single card of agent. I was going through things, depression. I needed time to get right. And now you're right. I'm married to a doctor, David Morrison. We have a house in Buckhead, 4 bedrooms. I can provide stability. Theo's blood went cold. Stability? I've been providing stability for 4 years while you were finding yourself. I've filed papers, requesting joint custody, 50-50 split. You can't be serious. My lawyer will contact you. I'm not trying to take her away, Theo. I just want to be part of her life. You gave up that right when you walked out. Parents make mistakes. The courts believe in second chances. She hung up. Theo stood in his kitchen, phone still pressed to his ear, listening to dead air. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, like the walls were closing in. He thought about calling a lawyer, then thought about lawyer fees, $5,000 minimum just to start. Money he didn't have. Money that would take months to save even with his new salary. Then he thought about Elena's business card, still in his wallet, her personal number written on the back in precise handwriting. He pulled it out, stared at it for 10 minutes. Pride said, handle it yourself. Fear for his daughter said, make the call. Fear won. Minutes 35 to 40, building bridges. Elena answered on the second ring despite it being 10:30 at night. Mr. Carter, I didn't expect to hear from you. I need advice. Come to my office, now. The Ashford Industries building at night looked like something from a movie, lit from within, glass and steel glowing against the dark sky. Theo felt out of place in his work jeans and Carhartt jacket. Elena met him on the 38th floor, still in work clothes. Looked like she'd been there all day. Coffee cup half empty on her desk. Papers spread across every surface. He told her everything. Sharon, the custody claim, the lawyer he couldn't afford. Elena listened without interrupting. When he finished, she picked up her phone. Michael Brennan, I need you. She paused. I don't care what time it is. I'm calling in the favor from the Hendricks case. Another pause. Thank you. She hung up, looked at Theo. Michael Brennan is the best family attorney in Georgia. He'll take your case. I can't afford him. The company will cover it. No. Theo stood up. I told you I don't want charity. This isn't charity. This is me making sure a good father doesn't lose his daughter because he can't afford justice. It's the same thing. It's not. She stood too, walked to the window overlooking the city. Theo, I understand pride. I lived on it for years. But this isn't about you. This is about Maya. Which is exactly why I have to handle it myself. I'm her father. My responsibility. And if you lose because Sharon has better lawyers? What will you tell Maya then? Sorry, baby, daddy was too proud to accept help. The words hit like a physical blow. Elena turned to face him. I know this is hard. I know it feels like losing control. But sometimes the strongest thing a man can do is accept help when his child needs it. Theo sat back down, put his head in his hands. I just want to protect her. I know, and you will. But you don't have to do it alone. He looked up, saw something in Elena's expression. Not pity, not superiority, understanding, like she'd been exactly where he was and knew how it felt. Okay, he said quietly. Okay. The next 3 weeks blurred together. Theo started his new position as Director of Community Outreach for the Carter Fund. $72,000 a year, health insurance, retirement matching. Benefits he hadn't had since before the recession destroyed his engineering career. The work was good, real. He identified families struggling the way he had struggled. Single parents working 3 jobs, kids going to bed hungry because rent came first. People one car accident away from homelessness. He built relationships, listened, understood their needs because he'd lived them. The foundation funded childcare, covered unexpected medical bills, provided job training, made real differences in real lives. And through it all, Elena was there. Not hovering, not micromanaging, just present. They had meetings twice a week. She asked questions, took notes, learned about communities she'd never been part of despite growing up poor. Most nonprofits fail because they're run by people who've never experienced the problems they're trying to solve, Theo said during one meeting. And you have. Every single one. Hunger, eviction notices, choosing between medicine and food. I've lived it all. Elena looked at him with something close to admiration. That's why this will work. Because you know. Maya came to the office sometimes, Saturday mornings when Theo had to catch up on paperwork. She'd sit at the big conference table with her coloring books. Elena would join her, side by side, 2 heads bent over paper and crayons. Theo watched them once through the glass, his daughter and this woman who was supposed to be untouchable. They were laughing. Maya was showing Elena how to color inside the lines. Elena was actually trying, messing up on purpose to make Maya giggle. Something shifted in his chest, something he wasn't ready to name. The media explosion happened on a Saturday in November. Family Fun Day at Piedmont Park. The Carter Fund's first public event. Face painting, games, balloons, 200 families from the program, kids everywhere, laughter and music and the smell of hot dogs and popcorn. Elena had insisted on attending. This is important. I should be here. Theo agreed. Didn't think twice about it. Maya ran around with other kids, happy, carefree. Elena bought her a balloon, tied Maya's shoe when it came undone. Small gestures, normal things, until the cameras noticed. 1 photographer, then 3, then a dozen. Telephoto lenses tracking Elena Ashford at a charity event with a man and child. Theo saw it happening, tried to redirect. Too late. A reporter pushed forward. Miss Ashford, who's this? Elena handled it smoothly. This is Theo Carter, director of the Carter Fund, and his daughter Maya. Are you two dating? We're colleagues. But the damage was done. The photographer had gotten his shot. Elena crouching down to tie Maya's shoe. Theo standing beside her, his hand almost touching her shoulder. They looked like a family. Monday morning it was everywhere. The article didn't say they were together, just implied it heavily, speculated wildly. Called Theo a local handyman, like it was an insult. Questioned whether Elena was fit to run a company if she was playing house. Theo's phone exploded. Friends. Former co-workers. Random people from high school he hadn't talked to in 20 years. Everyone wanted to know if he was dating Elena Ashford. Worse. Sharon called. Dating a billionaire while raising our daughter in a rental apartment? The court will love this. She hung up before he could respond. Wednesday, Elena called an emergency meeting. Not in her office, in a private room at the Ritz-Carlton. Neutral territory, away from company eyes. The board is not happy, she said without preamble. About the photos? About the perception. They think I'm distracted, making emotional decisions instead of business ones. The Carter Fund is a business decision. I know that. You know that. They see $4.5 million with no immediate ROI. Theo felt something cold settle in his stomach. They want you to shut it down. They want me to distance myself from you. The words hung in the air between them. So distance yourself, Theo said. I can run the program. You don't need to be involved day to day. That's not what I want. What do you want? Elena looked at him, really looked at him, something vulnerable in her eyes. I want to keep doing this. The work. With you. Why? Because for the first time in 10 years, I feel like I'm building something that matters. Not just for shareholders. For real people. Theo stood up, paced to the window. Downtown Atlanta spread out below. I can't be the reason you lose your company. You're not. They are. Old men who think profit is the only thing that matters. Maybe they're right. Don't say that. Elena, be realistic. I'm a handyman with a daughter and an ex-wife gunning for custody. You're a billionaire CEO. This was always going to be complicated. She stood too, walked over to him, close enough that he could smell her perfume. Something expensive and subtle. What if I don't care about complicated? You should. Why? Because when this ends, he wanted to say, when you realize I'm not worth the trouble, when your board forces you to choose, I lose everything, you lose nothing. But he didn't say that, just shook his head. We should keep things professional. Elena's jaw tightened. Professional. It's better this way. She gathered her things, moved toward the door, stopped with her hand on the handle. For what it's worth, Theo, I think you're worth any amount of complication. Then she left. The accident happened 3 weeks later. Theo was still doing freelance work on weekends. Old clients, side money. The foundation salary was good, but lawyer fees were bleeding him dry. Michael Brennan was worth every penny, but every penny added up fast. Mrs. Chen needed her AC fixed. Third floor walk-up in East Atlanta. December, but still warm enough that a broken AC unit mattered. $75 cash. 3 hours work. Theo climbed onto the roof. The unit was ancient, probably older than he was. Rusted. Held together with duct tape and prayers. But he could fix it. Always could fix things. The ladder shifted. Just an inch. Not enough to notice until it was too late. His foot slipped. Reached for the edge. Missed. 15 feet of empty air. Then concrete. The pain came in waves. Started in his right leg. Exploded up through his entire body. Theo tried to move. Couldn't. Tried to stand. Nothing happened below his waist except white-hot agony. Mrs. Chen called 911, held his hand, told him it would be okay in broken English, while they both knew it might not be. The ambulance, Grady Hospital, x-rays, a doctor who looked too young to be a doctor. Fractured tibia and fibula. You're going to need surgery, 8 to 12 weeks recovery, 3 to 6 months physical therapy. Cost? The doctor consulted a tablet. With surgery, hospital stay, PT, $87,000. Your insurance covers 60%. Theo did the math even through the pain medication fog. $35,000 out of pocket. Might as well be $35 million. When can I go back to work? Not for at least 8 weeks, and even then, no heavy lifting, no climbing, no manual labor for 6 months minimum. 6 months. Half a year without his freelance income. Half a year of medical bills piling up. The foundation salary would cover rent and food, but not this. Not nearly this. Elena got to the hospital within an hour. Theo didn't know who called her. Jennifer, probably. Her assistant, who seemed to know everything. She walked into his room like she owned the place. Looked at the chart, looked at him, looked at Maya sleeping in the chair beside his bed. The costs, Elena started. No. You haven't heard what I'm offering. Don't care, the answer is no. $35,000. I can write the check right now. No. Theo, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You're the one trying to buy your way into my life. Elena's expression went cold. Is that what you think I'm doing? What else would you call it? I'd call it caring about someone who's in pain. Yeah? Well, I don't want your pity. It's not pity. Her voice rose, then stopped. Remembered Maya sleeping, started again quieter. It's not pity, it's concern. It's not wanting to see you suffer. Why do you care so much? The question came out harsher than he intended, but he meant it, really wanted to know. Why would someone like her care about someone like him? Elena looked at him, eyes shining. Because I love you, you stubborn fool. The words hit like the fall from the roof. Sudden, shocking, taking all the air from the room. You don't mean that. I do. You barely know me. I know you're the best man I've ever met. I know you make Maya laugh every single day despite working yourself to death. I know you refuse $2,500 because you have principles. I know you see me, really see me, not just the CEO. Theo shook his head. Even that hurt. You don't love me, Elena. You love the idea of me, the noble poor man with a heart of gold. But that's not real life. Don't tell me what I feel. I'm telling you what I know. When this wears off, When you realize I live in an apartment you own, that I work for you, that I'll never be your equal, you'll resent me. That's not true. It is, and when you leave, because you will leave, I lose everything. My home, my mom, my daughter's stability. You? You go back to your penthouse and find someone appropriate, someone from your world. Elena stood there, face pale, hands shaking slightly. You really think I'm that shallow? I think you're human, and humans get tired of slumming eventually. The word slumming hit her like a slap. Theo saw it, felt bad immediately, but didn't take it back. I see, Elena said quietly. I should go. Yeah, you should. She left. Maya stirred but didn't wake. Theo lay in the hospital bed, leg immobilized, heart feeling worse than any broken bone. Theo spent 3 days in the hospital. Michael Brennan visited, brought good news. The custody hearing was scheduled. The case was solid. Sharon's 4-year absence would be hard to overcome. We'll probably get you primary custody with supervised visitation for her, 2 days a month, 4 hours each time. Can she appeal? She can try, but without significant change in circumstances, unlikely to succeed. Significant change in circumstances, like the father becoming unemployed, unable to work, drowning in medical debt. Theo didn't mention that part. He was discharged on Thursday. Maya's grandmother helped get him home, up the stairs on crutches, into the apartment that felt different now, smaller, like a cage. Friday morning, his phone lit up with news alerts. Theo read the article, read it again, couldn't believe what he was seeing. Morrison Medical Supplies, founded by Dr. R. David Morrison, Sharon's husband, the company that provided their stability. Elena had bought it, or rather her company had acquired it, in what the article described as aggressive and unexpected. Morrison had been struggling with debt, $3.2 million owed to suppliers. Elena swept in, offered pennies on the dollar, took over completely. The article quoted industry experts calling it ruthless and personal. David Morrison was now unemployed. The company dissolved, assets liquidated. Theo's phone rang. Sharon, screaming before he could say hello. What did you do? What did you tell her? I didn't tell her anything. Your billionaire girlfriend just destroyed my husband's company. Cost him everything. You expect me to believe that's coincidence? I didn't know she was going to do this. You're sleeping with her and you didn't know? I'm not sleeping with her. We're not together. The photos say different. The photos are wrong. Sharon's voice went quiet. Dangerous. This isn't over, Theo. You think destroying David helps you? It makes you look vindictive. Makes you look like you'd use money and power to hurt people. The judge will hear about this. She hung up. Theo sat there, crutches leaning against the couch, leg throbbing despite the painkillers, staring at the article on his phone. Elena had done this, gone after Sharon's husband, not for business reasons, for revenge, to punish Sharon for coming after Maya, to protect Theo in the most destructive way possible. He called her 7 times, voicemail every time. Finally, she answered. I was going to tell you. When? After you bankrupted him? He was already bankrupt. I just accelerated the timeline. This isn't business, Elena. This is revenge. So what if it is? She was coming after Maya. I made sure she won't have the resources to keep fighting. By destroying her husband? By protecting you. I didn't ask you to protect me like this. You didn't have to ask. Theo stood up, grabbed his crutches, started pacing despite the pain. This is exactly what I was afraid of. You using your power like a weapon, hurting people because you can. I hurt someone who was trying to hurt you. And that makes it okay? In my world? Yes. Well, it's not okay in mine. His voice was rising, had to lower it. Maya was in her room. In my world, you don't crush people just because they're in your way. Even when they're trying to take your daughter, there are other ways, legal ways, right ways. Elena laughed, cold. Right ways? You mean the ways that take years, that cost hundreds of thousands in lawyer fees, that favor whoever has more money anyway? So you just skip straight to destroying lives? I skip straight to winning. That's what I do, Theo. I win. And I make sure the people I care about win too. By becoming exactly what you hate, exactly what you swore you'd never be. Silence on the other end of the line. Take that back, Elena said quietly. No, you told me you grew up powerless, that you built this empire so no one could hurt you again. But you're not defending yourself anymore. You're attacking, using money and influence to hurt anyone who crosses you. I was protecting you. I didn't need that kind of protection. I needed you to trust that I could handle this myself. Like you're handling the medical bills, like you're handling working on a broken leg because you're too proud to accept help. That's different. It's not. You want to struggle because you think it makes you noble. I want to help because I think you deserve better. We're both stubborn, but at least I'm honest about it. Theo felt something snap inside. You want honesty? Fine. You're not helping me. You're controlling me. Just like you control everything else in your life. Companies, people, situations. You can't stand anything you can't manipulate. That is not fair, isn't it? You bought my building, hired me, paid for my lawyer, and now you're destroying my ex-wife's family, all without asking, all without my consent. Tell me how that's not control. Because I love you. Love doesn't look like this, Elena. This looks like obsession, like you found a project and decided to fix it whether I wanted fixing or not. You don't mean that. I do. And until you can tell the difference between helping and controlling, we can't do this, any of this. Do what? Work together, be friends, whatever this was becoming. Another long silence. I see, Elena said finally, voice flat, empty. Then I'll make it easy for you. I'm stepping back from the Carter Fund. You'll report to the board directly. We won't have to see each other. Elena. What? He wanted to say something, take back some of it. Explain that he was angry and in pain and scared about losing Maya and terrified that Elena was becoming something he couldn't recognize. But he didn't say any of that. Just, I'm sorry. So am I. She hung up. 3 weeks passed like walking through mud. Theo focused on physical therapy. The leg was healing slower than it should. Stress delayed recovery, the doctor said. Need to stay calm. Minimize anxiety. Impossible advice. The custody hearing was in 2 months. Michael Brennan was confident but cautious. Sharon's lawyer was arguing that the Morrison takeover showed Theo's pattern of using wealthy connections to harm others. Michael countered that Sharon's 4-year absence was the only pattern that mattered, but it made the case messier, longer, more expensive. Maya asked about Elena constantly. Why doesn't Miss Elena come over anymore? She's busy, baby. Is she mad at us? No, just busy. I miss her. I know. Do you miss her? Theo looked at his daughter, 7 years old and seeing right through him. Yeah, baby, I do. The Carter Fund continued without Elena's direct involvement. Theo submitted reports to the board. They approved budgets, asked questions. Everything was professional and cold, and nothing like it had been. He saw her once, from a distance. Corporate event he had to attend. Speech about community investment. Elena stood at the podium in a black suit, hair pulled back, face composed, giving numbers and projections in a voice that held no warmth. She looked like the woman from the magazine article. The Ice Queen CEO, no trace of the woman who'd tied Maya's shoes, who'd laughed at crayon drawings, who'd said she loved him in a hospital room. Their eyes met across the room for half a second. She looked away first. Theo left early, told himself it was because his leg hurt, knew it was a lie. At night, lying on the couch because he still couldn't manage stairs to a real bed, he thought about their last conversation. The things he'd said, called her controlling, obsessive, compared her love to manipulation. Maybe he'd been too harsh. Or maybe he'd been exactly right. Maybe Elena Ashford didn't know how to love without consuming, how to help without taking over, how to be vulnerable without turning it into another form of power. Or maybe Theo Carter was just too proud to let anyone save him, too scared to trust that someone might actually want to without expecting something in return. His phone sat on the coffee table. Elena's number still saved. He could call, apologize, Try to explain. But explain what? That he was terrified? That loving her felt like standing on the edge of a cliff? That he couldn't shake the feeling that one day she'd wake up and realize he wasn't worth the effort? The phone stayed silent. Christmas came. Maya spent it with her grandmother. The old woman cooked a ham, made sweet potato pie, gave Maya a doll she'd saved up for, gave Theo a scarf she'd knitted herself. "You need someone to keep you warm, baby," she said, meaning more than just a scarf. A package arrived Christmas Eve. No return address. Inside was a first edition copy of The Little Prince, wrapped in silver paper. A card tucked inside the front cover. Elena's signature. Nothing else. Theo gave it to Maya on Christmas morning. She hugged the book. "Miss Elena remembered I liked this story." She did. "Can we call her? Say thank you?" "Maybe later, baby." Later never came. New Year's Eve. Theo sat on his couch watching the ball drop on TV, alone, leg still in a brace, heart still broken, wondering if this was what the rest of his life looked like. Safe, stable, lonely. His phone buzzed at midnight, a text from Elena. "Happy New Year, Theo. I hope this year brings you everything you deserve. E." He stared at it for 20 minutes. Typed responses, deleted them, finally settled on, "You too." 2 words, not enough, too much, everything and nothing. January crawled by. Physical therapy 3 times a week. Work from home. Maya at school. The custody hearing looming like a storm cloud on the horizon. By February, Theo could walk without crutches. The cast was off. He still limped. Probably always would. Some injuries don't heal completely. The hearing was scheduled for the second Tuesday in February, Valentine's Day week. The irony wasn't lost on him. Outside, Atlanta hummed with life. Cars passing, people living, the world spinning forward while Theo Carter prepared to fight for his daughter, missing a woman he'd pushed away, wondering if he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life. Fulton County Family Court. Tuesday morning, February cold seeping through the old building's walls despite the heating system working overtime. Theo sat at the plaintiff's table wearing his only suit, navy blue. Bought it for Teresa's funeral 8 years ago. Hadn't worn it since. Still fit but felt wrong. Like costume armor that wouldn't actually protect anything. Michael Brennan sat beside him. 52 years old, silver hair, reputation like stone. He'd prepared Theo for 3 days straight, knew every detail of the case, every angle Sharon's lawyer might attack from. Across the aisle, Sharon sat next to her attorney, Amanda Pierce, 45, sharp as broken glass, dressed in gray that probably cost more than Theo made in a month back when he was doing freelance work. Sharon looked different, hair professionally done, makeup subtle but expensive, the kind that made you look natural while costing $200. She wore cream and pearls, soft, maternal. Nothing like the woman who'd walked out 4 years ago saying she deserved better. Behind Theo in the gallery sat Maya's grandmother, his mother-in-law, Teresa's mom. She'd been his rock through everything, now 71. Arthritis in her hands, still working part-time as a school crossing guard because Social Security wasn't enough. Elena wasn't there. Theo had asked her not to come. Didn't want Sharon's lawyer making it about billionaire influence, about impropriety, about anything except the simple truth that he'd been Maya's only parent for 4 years. Judge Patricia Wilson entered, 58, African-American, reputation for being fair but unforgiving of nonsense. 22 years on the family court bench. She'd seen every lie, every manipulation, every genuine tragedy that brought people to her courtroom. "Good morning. Case number 2024 FC 8847. Carter versus Morrison, formerly Carter. Custody determination for minor child Maya Louise Carter, age 7. Amanda Pierce stood first. "Your Honor, my client Sharon Morrison seeks joint custody of her daughter. 50-50 time split. She acknowledges she made mistakes in the past but has undergone significant personal growth. She's now married to a successful physician, has a stable home, and wishes to establish a meaningful relationship with her child." Judge Wilson looked at Sharon. "Mrs. Morrison, you left when the child was 3. She's now 7. 4 years. Can you explain that absence? Sharon stood, hands folded, voice steady with just the right amount of emotion. Someone had coached her well. Your Honor, I was suffering from severe postpartum depression. It went undiagnosed for years. I felt like I was drowning, like I was a danger to my daughter. I thought leaving was the kindest thing I could do. Did you seek treatment? Eventually, it took time to even recognize I needed help. But yes, I've been in therapy for 2 years. I'm on medication. I'm stable now. And in those 4 years, how many times did you contact your daughter? Sharon's composure cracked slightly. I didn't. I thought it would be easier for her if I just stayed away completely rather than appearing and disappearing. Easier for her or easier for you? The question landed like a hammer. Sharon had no good answer. I understand how it looks, but I am here now. I want to make amends. Be the mother I should have been. Judge Wilson turned to Theo. Mr. Carter, your response? Theo stood, legs still aching from the injury. Cast was off, but physical therapy would continue for months. Your Honor, I don't deny Sharon had depression, but she didn't just leave. She chose to leave. Didn't fight for custody during the divorce. Signed papers giving me sole parental rights. Didn't send a single birthday card. Not one Christmas present except once last year. A doll. No note. And now? Now she's married to someone with money, has a nice house, and suddenly wants to be a mother again. But Maya doesn't know her. To my daughter, Sharon is a stranger who shares some DNA but hasn't earned the title of mother. Amanda Pierce stood. Your Honor, Mr. Carter's situation also deserves scrutiny. He's currently involved with Elena Ashford, CEO of Ashford Industries, a woman whose company recently orchestrated a hostile takeover of my client's husband's business. This appears to be retaliation for Mrs. Morrison seeking custody. Michael Brennan shot up. Objection. Relevance. Business dealings between two corporations have nothing to do with parental fitness. Your Honor, Amanda continued, it demonstrates a pattern. Mr. Carter uses his relationship with an extremely wealthy woman to punish those who oppose him. What happens if he and Miss Ashford have a falling out? His housing is owned by her company. His employment is funded by her foundation. His legal representation is paid by her. His entire life is dependent on her goodwill. Judge Wilson held up a hand. I'll allow it. Mr. Carter, what is your relationship with Elena Ashford? Theo's jaw tightened. We're not in a relationship. We work together. That's all. But she owns your building? Yes. And employs you? Yes. And paid for your attorney? Michael stood. Your Honor, if I may, Miss Ashford established a charitable foundation to assist single parents. Mr. Carter was hired based on his qualifications and lived experience. The housing arrangement predates his employment. As for my fees, they're paid by the Ashford Industries Charitable Trust, not by Miss Ashford personally. This is all documented and legal. But convenient, Amanda said. Your Honor, my client offers stability that doesn't depend on the whims of a billionaire. A two-parent household, financial security, a bedroom waiting for Maya, everything a child deserves. Everything except a mother who was there when it mattered, Michael countered. Your Honor, Maya has lived with her father exclusively for 4 years. He's been the one making breakfast, combing her hair, helping with homework, attending parent-teacher conferences, being a parent. Mrs. Morrison chose to opt out. She doesn't get to opt back in just because circumstances improved. Judge Wilson sat back. I'm going to hear from some witnesses. Then I'll make a determination. The next 2 hours were brutal. Sharon's witnesses painted a picture of transformation. Her therapist testified to her progress. Her husband described their home, their plans, their readiness to parent. A social worker who'd done a home study said their house was appropriate and welcoming. Theo's witnesses told a different story. Maya's teacher described a well-adjusted child who talked about her father constantly, never mentioned her mother. The principal confirmed Theo attended every school event. The pediatrician testified that Maya was healthy, happy, current on all vaccinations, never missed an appointment. Maya's grandmother took the stand, voice shaking but determined. That boy raised my granddaughter alone, worked himself half to death to provide, never complained, never gave up. Maya knows she's loved every single day because of him. Sharon broke that baby's heart once. I won't let her do it again. Amanda Pierce cross-examined. Mrs. Chen, you're biased toward your son-in-law, are you not? I'm biased toward my granddaughter, and what's best for her is the parent who's been there all along. Finally, Judge Wilson spoke. I'm going to speak with Maya privately, in chambers. No attorneys, no parents, just her and me. 20 minutes later, Maya emerged, face serious, holding the bailiff's hand. She looked at Theo. He smiled, tried to show confidence he didn't feel. Judge Wilson returned to the bench. I've made my decision. The courtroom went silent. Mrs. Morrison, I believe you have made progress. I believe your regret is genuine, but I also believe that 4 years of absence cannot be erased because circumstances have improved. Maya doesn't know you. According to her, you're the lady from the picture. Not mom, not mother. The lady from the picture. Sharon's face crumbled. Mr. Carter has been exemplary. Despite financial hardship, despite a recent injury, despite complications in his personal life, he has prioritized his daughter consistently. That is what parenting is. Consistency, presence, love demonstrated through action, not intention. Theo felt something loosen in his chest. Therefore, I am awarding primary physical custody to Mr. Carter. Mrs. Morrison will have supervised visitation rights. 2 visits per month, 4 hours each, supervised by a court-appointed guardian. After 6 months, we'll revisit to determine if supervision can be lifted. After 1 year, we'll consider expanded visitation if appropriate. Sharon stood. Your Honor, please. My decision is final. This child deserves stability. She has that with her father. You'll have the opportunity to build a relationship, Mrs. Morrison, but it will be on a timeline that prioritizes Maya's well-being, not your convenience. The gavel came down. 3 weeks after the hearing, Maya got sick. Started with a cough, then fever. Then the fever wouldn't break. 103 degrees, 104. Theo gave her children's Tylenol, lukewarm baths, everything the pediatrician said over the phone. Nothing worked. At 11 p.m., her temperature hit 105. Theo called 911, Grady Hospital emergency room. Fluorescent lights, antiseptic smell. Doctors who looked too young and too tired. They ran tests, IV fluids, fever reducers, moved her to a pediatric observation unit. Severe flu, possible pneumonia developing. We need to keep her overnight. Monitor her breathing. Theo sat beside her bed, held her hand. Maya slept fitfully, waking every hour confused and scared. He sang to her, songs Teresa used to sing, old gospel hymns his mother-in-law had taught him. Anything to soothe her. At midnight, the door opened. Elena stepped in. She wore jeans, a sweater, hair down, no makeup. Looked like she'd been asleep when she got the call. Must have been Jennifer who contacted her. His emergency contact information still listed the foundation office. I came as soon as I heard. Theo looked at her, first time seeing her in person in almost 2 months. She looked different, tired, like she hadn't been sleeping well, thinner maybe, or just worn down. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. She sat in the chair on the other side of Maya's bed, looked at the little girl, reached out and brushed hair from her forehead with infinite gentleness. How is she? Fever's coming down, slowly. They sat in silence, just the sound of monitors beeping, Maya's labored breathing, the hospital humming around them. At 2 a.m., Maya woke up, saw Elena, smiled despite the fever. Miss Elena, hey, sweetheart, you gave us a scare. I'm sick. I know, but you're getting better. Your daddy's taking good care of you. He always does. Maya's eyes drifted closed again. Elena looked at Theo across the bed. You look exhausted. I'm fine. When's the last time you slept? Don't remember. Go home, shower, sleep for a few hours. I'll stay with her. I'm not leaving. Theo, you're no good to her if you collapse. Go. I'll be right here. I promise if anything changes, I'll call immediately. He wanted to argue, wanted to maintain the distance they'd built over the past weeks. But he was so tired, so bone-deep exhausted. And he trusted her. Despite everything, despite the fight, despite the silence, he trusted her with his daughter. 2 hours. Then I'm back. Take 4. He left, drove home in a daze, showered, lay down on the couch, meant to set an alarm, fell asleep before he could. Woke up 5 hours later, panic flooding his system. Grabbed his phone. No calls, no texts. Maya must be okay. He drove back to the hospital faster than he should have. Found Elena and Maya awake. Elena was reading to her some picture book about a princess and a dragon. Maya was sitting up, color better, fever broken, eating ice chips. Theo stood in the doorway, watching. These two people who'd somehow become his entire world without him noticing exactly when it happened. Elena looked up, saw him, smiled. Hey, someone's feeling better. Maya's face lit up. Daddy! He crossed the room, hugged her carefully, felt tears burning behind his eyes but held them back. Hey, baby girl, you scared me. Miss Elena stayed the whole time. She read me 3 books, and she knows all the words to the princess song. Does she? Elena stood, stretched. I should go, let you two have some time. Elena, wait. She stopped. Theo looked at his daughter, then at this woman who'd driven across the city in the middle of the night, who'd stayed for 5 hours, who'd read stories and sung songs and been exactly what Maya needed. Thank you, he said, for being here. Always. The word was simple, but the weight behind it was everything. She left. The room felt emptier without her. Maya tugged his sleeve. Daddy, do you love Miss Elena? The question caught him off guard. Why do you ask that? Because you look at her the way you look at pictures of Mom, sad and happy at the same time. 7 years old, seeing everything, understanding more than she should have to. Yeah, baby, I think I do. Then why aren't you together? Because it's complicated. Is it complicated because you're scared? Out of the mouths of children. Maybe, yeah, maybe I'm scared. Of what? How to explain to a 7-year-old? How to say that loving someone with that much power felt like giving them the ability to destroy you? That he'd rather be alone than risk Maya getting hurt when it fell apart? I'm scared of losing you, he said finally. If I let Miss Elena into our lives all the way, and then something goes wrong, you lose her too. You've already lost your mom twice. I can't let you lose anyone else. Maya looked at him with eyes far too wise. Daddy, I already love her. If she goes away, it's gonna hurt whether you were together or not. So maybe you should just be happy while you can. Theo stared at his daughter. When had she gotten so smart? When had she learned that love was worth the risk of losing it? You're right, he whispered. You're absolutely right. 6 months passed like seasons changing. Maya recovered fully. The custody arrangement held. Sharon visited twice a month, supervised. Awkward, but slowly improving. She brought gifts, asked questions about school, tried. It wasn't motherhood, but it was something. Theo's leg healed. Physical therapy ended. He could walk without pain. Run even. Not like before, but functional. Enough. The Carter Fund grew. 150 families enrolled. 87% employment rate among parents. 62 children in after-school programs. Numbers that meant actual lives improved. Actual hunger reduced. Actual hope restored. The board meeting was scheduled for August. Annual review. Determine if the program continued or got absorbed into general corporate charity. Theo prepared for 3 weeks. Built presentations. Gathered testimonials. Compiled data that told the story behind the numbers. The day arrived. Ashford Industries Tower. 40th floor. Conference room with a view of the whole city. 8 board members. Mostly men. Mostly over 60. Mostly white. Looking at Theo like he was an interesting experiment that had run its course. Elena sat at the head of the table. CEO mode. Hair pulled back. Suit that probably cost $5,000. Expression neutral. She hadn't spoken to him privately in months. All communication went through intermediaries. Lawrence Whitmore, 67, former CEO, spoke first. Mr. Carter, we've reviewed your program, impressive metrics, but the cost concerns us. $4.8 million in the first year. What's the return on investment? Theo had expected this. The ROI isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in lives changed. 87% of participating parents are now employed. That's 87 families off assistance programs, paying taxes, contributing to the economy. Long-term projections? If current trends continue, the program will be revenue neutral in 5 years. After that, it generates positive return through reduced social services, burden, and increased economic participation. Margaret Chen, CFO 62, leaned forward. But that's a city-wide benefit, not a corporate benefit. Why should Ashford Industries continue funding it? Because corporations have a responsibility beyond shareholder value. Because strong communities create stable workforces. Because it's the right thing to do. Some board members shifted uncomfortably. Right thing was not language they used in these rooms. Mr. Carter, Lawrence said carefully, we appreciate your passion, but passion doesn't pay dividends. We need hard business justification. Then here it is. Theo pulled up a slide. Employee retention in departments that interact with Carter Fund participants is up 18%. Recruitment costs down 12% because potential employees see community investment. Brand perception up 23 points among consumers under 40. The program pays for itself in intangible benefits even before you count social impact. The room went quiet. Elena spoke for the first time. The board has concerns about program leadership as well, specifically about whether Mr. Carter's position creates conflicts of interest given his housing arrangement. Theo's stomach dropped. She was throwing him under the bus, in front of everyone. Miss Ashford, he said slowly, my housing arrangement has no bearing on program efficacy. The results speak for themselves. Do they or are they inflated by the personal attention you've received? What was she doing? Why was she attacking him? Then he saw it, the slight nod she gave him, the way her eyes moved to the folder in front of him. She was setting him up, giving him the platform to defend not just the program, but himself, Theo understood. Took a breath. You want to know if the program works without special circumstances? Fine. I'll tell you about Carmen Rodriguez, single mother, 3 kids, was cleaning offices for $8 an hour, no benefits, no future. The fund got her into a nursing program. Now she makes $23 an hour at Grady Hospital. Her kids are in college prep programs. In 5 years, she'll be a registered nurse making $60,000. He pulled up another slide. Marcus Johnson, former Marine, PTSD, couldn't hold a jaw living in his car. The fund connected him with veteran services and job training. Now he's a certified electrician, bought a house last month. The house employs 2 other veterans in his business. Slide after slide, story after story, real people, real changes, not because of him personally, because of the system they'd built, the support that continued whether he was involved or not. This program works because it's built on dignity, not charity. We don't give handouts, we give opportunities. We don't rescue people. We give them tools to rescue themselves. And yes, it costs money up front, but the long-term benefit, both financial and social, far exceeds the investment. Lawrence and Margaret exchanged looks. The room felt different. Theo had made the case. Now they had to decide if they cared about anything beyond quarterly earnings. Elena stood. I move that we continue the Carter Fund with current funding levels. All in favor? 6 hands went up, 2 abstained, none opposed. Motion carries. Mr. Carter, congratulations. The program continues. The board filed out. Elena stayed behind, waited until the room was empty. That was impressive. Was that a test? Yes. Did I pass? You exceeded expectations. She walked to the window, looked out at Atlanta spread below. The board wanted to cut the program. I convinced them to give you 1 shot to prove its worth. You did. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed them to see you defend it without my protection. Needed them to see the program's value independent of our relationship. We don't have a relationship. Elena turned. Don't we? The question hung between them. So much weight in 3 words. I miss you, Theo said. Simple truth. I miss working with you, talking to you. I miss seeing you with Maya. I miss laughing at stupid things. I miss all of it. I miss you too. I said terrible things about you being controlling, about not knowing how to love without consuming. Some of it was true. I do try to control things. I do struggle with the line between helping and taking over. But you stayed away for 6 months. You let me work without interference. Let the program succeed on its own merits. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Elena's voice cracked slightly. Watching from a distance. Not being able to help when you were struggling. Not being there. But you were there. When Maya was sick, you came. Of course I came. Theo, you can push me away for business reasons, for professional boundaries, to protect your pride. But don't ever think I won't be there when you need me, when she needs me. That's not negotiable. He crossed the room, stood in front of her, close enough to see the exhaustion around her eyes, the lines that hadn't been there before. She'd been suffering too, missing him, choosing to stay away because he'd asked, because he needed space to prove himself. I was wrong, he said, not about everything, but about thinking you couldn't love without controlling. You've spent 6 months proving that wrong. Have I? You let me go, really let me go. Even though it hurt, that's love, Elena, the real kind, the kind that trusts, that waits, that believes the other person is strong enough to stand on their own. She looked up at him. Are you? Yeah, I am, but I don't want to anymore. Want to what? Stand on my own. I want to stand with you, if you'll still have me. Elena reached up, touched his face. First physical contact in 6 months. Her hand was warm, familiar. Home. I never stopped wanting you, Theo Carter. Not for a single day. He kissed her. Slow, deep. 6 months of missing someone poured into one moment. She kissed back, hands in his hair, body pressed against his. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. I need to tell you something, Elena said. What? The Morrison takeover. I've reversed it. Theo blinked. What? I structured a deal that returns the company to David Morrison. Favorable terms. He keeps control. Sharon's financial stability is restored. Why? Because you were right. It was revenge. It was me using power like a weapon. And that's not who I want to be. That must have cost you millions. It cost me nothing compared to what I gained. Respect. Yours and my own. Theo pulled her close again. Held her. Just held her. You're extraordinary, you know that? I'm learning. You're a good teacher. They stood there, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city below. Two people who'd fought and broken and healed and found their way back. What now? Elena asked. Now we do this right. No rushing, no grand gestures. Just two people figuring it out together. She smiled. I can work with that. October again. Full circle. 14 months since the crash that brought them together. Theo Carter stood in front of a modest storefront, hand-painted sign above the door, Carter Mechanics, in smaller letters underneath, in partnership with Ashford Foundation. The shop had 3 bays, employed 5 people, all from the Carter Fund program, all learning trades, all building futures. The bell above the door chimed. Elena walked in. White shirt, his shirt, the one from that first morning. She'd kept it, wore it sometimes, called it her favorite. Still fits, he said. Still stealing your clothes, she corrected. Borrowing. Sure, she laughed, walked around the shop, touched tools, examined the diagnostic equipment. Everything was clean, organized, professional. This place is perfect. It's small. It's honest, like you. Maya burst through the back door, 8 years old now, taller, smarter, still the light of his life. Miss Elena, I got the STEM scholarship, full ride to summer camp. Elena's face glowed. Maya, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you. Maya hugged her tight. Elena hugged back. Natural, easy. This was their rhythm now. This was family. Theo watched them. His daughter, this woman, together. The two people who mattered most. Maya ran off to do homework in the back office. Elena and Theo stood alone in the shop. She pulled an envelope from her purse. Cream-colored, sealed with actual wax, old-fashioned. I have something for you. Another gift? A question I'm scared to ask. His heart started pounding. Scared of what? Your answer. She handed him the envelope. Open it tomorrow, when you have time to really think. No pressure, no expectations. Just consider it. Elena. Tomorrow, Theo. Promise me. Okay. Tomorrow. She kissed him, left. The envelope sat heavy in his hand. He knew what it was, knew before he opened it, could feel the weight of the question inside. That night, after Maya was asleep, he sat on the couch, the same couch where this all started, where he'd slept while Elena recovered in his bed, where he'd laid broken but after the accident, where he'd spent 6 months missing her. He opened the envelope, a card, handwritten in her precise script. Theo, you saved my life in a storm, but you did more than that. You saved me from becoming someone I would have hated. You reminded me that kindness is the greatest currency, that honor matters more than wealth, that love is built on respect, not transaction. I'm not asking because I owe you. I'm asking because I can't imagine life without you, without Maya, without the man who threw my money back and taught me what integrity means. Will you marry me? E. The second page was an invitation, already printed. The wedding of Elena Ashford and Theo Carter. His hands shook. Tears fell. He laughed and cried at once. Morning came slowly. Theo didn't sleep much. Kept reading the letter, looking at the invitation, thinking about what it meant. Marriage, legal binding, public declaration. Elena Ashford, billionaire CEO, wanted to marry him. Theo Carter, mechanic, single father, man who'd yelled at her for offering money, who'd pushed her away, who'd called her controlling and obsessive. And yet she loved him, really loved him, enough to ask, enough to risk rejection, enough to put herself in the vulnerable position of not knowing his answer. Maya found him at the kitchen table at 7 a.m., still holding the letter. What's that? A question. What question? Miss Elena asked me to marry her. Maya's eyes went wide. She did? Yeah. What did you say? Haven't answered yet. Why not? Because it's complicated. Maya climbed onto his lap, 8 years old but still his baby. Daddy, do you love her? More than anything except you. Does she love you? She says she does. Does she love me? She says forever. Then what's complicated? Theo looked at his daughter. This was a beautiful, perfect world who saw the world so clearly. I'm scared. Of what? Of not being enough. Of her waking up one day and realizing she could have done better. Daddy, you saved her from a burning car. You're nice to people, even when they're mean to you. You make the best pancakes. You help other families have food and houses. How could anyone do better than that? He hugged her, breathed in the smell of her shampoo. His daughter, his heart. The one thing he'd done perfectly right in an imperfect life. You're right, thank you, baby. So you're gonna say yes? I'm going to say something. That evening, Theo went to Elena's office. 40th floor, views of the city. He'd been here before, but it still took his breath away. All this power, all this wealth, and she wanted to share it with him. She was working late, as always, looked up when he entered, tried to read his expression, couldn't. Theo, I got your letter. And? The answer is no. Her face went pale. I see. Not because I don't love you, not because I don't want to marry you. Then why? He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small box, the kind that held rings, except this one held the ring from her letter, the one she'd bought for him. He got down on one knee, because if someone's proposing in this relationship, it's going to be me. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Tears started immediately. Elena Ashford, you came into my life like a storm, disrupted everything, made me question every wall I'd built, every defense I'd constructed. You showed me that accepting help doesn't make you weak, that love doesn't have to hurt, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust someone with your whole heart. His voice caught, steadied, continued. I don't have much to offer. I'm a mechanic with a daughter and a used truck. I live in a house. My biggest asset is my integrity. But I have something else. A heart that loves you completely. A daughter who adores you. and a promise that every day I'll try to be worthy of you. He opened the box. Her ring, the one she'd chosen. Simple gold band, engraved with words only she could read from this angle. Marry me, Elena, not because you proposed first, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it. Because you make me want to be better. Because Maya needs you, because I need you. Marry me. Elena was full-on crying now. Mascara running, not caring. Yes, God, yes, 1,000 times yes. He stood, slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. She'd planned this. Known he'd turn it around somehow. Known him well enough to prepare for exactly this. They kissed, long and deep and full of promise. When they broke apart, Elena laughed through tears. You couldn't just say yes to my proposal. Had to make it yours? I'm a traditional guy. Some things matter. I love you, Theo Carter. I love you, Elena Carter. Not yet. Soon enough. 6 months later. So, Georgia spring in full bloom. The wedding was small. Theo's backyard. The house he now owned outright. 40 guests, family, close friends, the families from the Carter Fund. People who mattered. In the front row sat Robert Ashford, Elena's adoptive father, 74 years old, retired from the company but still sharp as ever. Silver hair, kind eyes. He'd flown in from Palm Springs where he spent his winters now. Tears streamed down his face as he watched his daughter prepare to marry the man who'd saved her life. She found a good one, he whispered to Maya's grandmother, sitting beside him. So did he, she whispered back. Maya stood between Theo and Elena at the makeshift altar. White dress, hair braided with flowers. The official flower girl and unofficial center of everything. She held both their hands as they stood before the officiant. Theo wore his navy suit, the funeral suit that had become his court suit that was now his wedding suit. Seemed appropriate. Death and rebirth and new beginnings all tied together. Elena wore cream, simple, elegant, nothing that screamed billions. Just a woman marrying the man she loved. The vows were personal, written themselves. No generic promises. Elena went first. Theo, you taught me that strength isn't about never needing anyone. It's about choosing who you need and trusting them completely. You showed me that love is patient, that it waits, that it respects. I promise to be your partner, not your savior, not your project, your equal, always. Theo's turn. Elena, you came into my life when I'd given up on anything changing. You saw value in me when I couldn't see it myself. You loved my daughter like she was yours from day one. I promise to challenge you, to be honest with you, to never let you settle for less than you deserve, including me. I'll work every day to be worthy of the faith you've shown. Maya had lines too. They'd insisted. I promise to be a good daughter, to both of you, to do my homework, to eat my vegetables, and to remember that family isn't just blood, it's the people who show up. Thank you for showing up, Miss Elena. I mean, Mom Elena. I mean, just Elena? She looked up. What do I call you? Elena knelt down. Whatever feels right, sweetheart. I'm not trying to replace your mom, but I'm here, always. Can I call you Mom too? Everyone laughed. Elena hugged her. Mom too is perfect. The officiant smiled. By the power vested in me by the state of Georgia, I now pronounce you married. You may kiss. They did. The crowd cheered. Maya jumped between them. They lifted her up together, the three of them in a triangle of arms and laughter and joy. Robert Ashford stood, applauded, cried openly, his daughter, the girl he'd found in a group home at 16, angry at the world, brilliant and broken, now a woman, a CEO, a wife, a mother figure. He'd never been prouder. The reception was barbecue and sweet tea, dancing to old soul music. Theo's mother-in-law crying happy tears. Even Sharon attended. Brought a gift, stayed an hour. It was awkward but genuine. Progress. As the sun set, Theo and Elena and Maya sat on the porch steps, watching fireflies, the party winding down behind them. Is this real? Theo asked. Sometimes I think I'm going to wake up on that couch the night of the storm, and none of this will have happened. It's real. Elena squeezed his hand. We're real. Maya leaned against them both. I'm glad you crashed your car, Mom, too. Maya, Theo tried to sound stern. Failed. Well, I am. If you didn't crash, you wouldn't have met Daddy, and we wouldn't be a family. Elena laughed. You're right. Best car crash of my life. They sat in silence. Comfortable, complete, the city humming in the distance, the future stretching ahead. Unknown but not frightening. Not when you had people to face it with. Theo thought about that night. The storm, the burning car, the decision to stop, to help, to do the right thing even though it would have been easier to keep driving. One decision, one moment, changed everything. What are you thinking, Elena asked. About storms, and how sometimes they bring exactly what you need, even when you don't know you need it? Especially then. Maya yawned. I'm tired. Let's get you to bed, baby. Theo stood, picked her up, 8 years old and getting heavy, but still his baby. Elena followed them inside. Their house, their family, their life. In the bedroom, Maya climbed under covers. Theo and Elena sat on either side. This was new routine. Bedtime with two parents. Maya loved it. Tell me the story, Maya said. Which story? How you met, the storm. Elena and Theo looked at each other, smiled. They'd told this story 100 times, would tell it 1,000 more. Once upon a time, Theo started, there was a storm. And a car crash, Elena added. And a man who stopped to help, Maya continued, knowing the rhythm. And a woman who learned that kindness is the greatest gift, Elena said. And they fell in love, Maya finished, and lived happily ever after. Not ever after, Theo corrected gently. We're living happily right now. That's better than ever after. That's real. Maya's eyes closed, already drifting. Safe, loved, surrounded by family. Theo and Elena sat with her until her breathing deepened. Then they slipped out, left the door cracked, nightlight glowing. In their bedroom, theirs together now, they got ready for bed in comfortable silence. This was marriage, not the wedding. This, the quiet moments, the everyday choosing each other. Thank you, Elena said. For what? For stopping that night, for pulling me out, for saving me. You saved me too. Did I? Yeah, from thinking I had to do everything alone, from believing that accepting help made me weak, from a life without this. He gestured around. Without us. Elena kissed him. Soft, sweet. I love you, Theo Carter. I love you, Elena Carter. They lay down, her head on his chest, his arm around her. Two people who'd found each other in a storm. Who'd fought and broken and healed. Who'd learned that love isn't about grand gestures or money or power. Love is showing up, being present, choosing someone every day even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Outside, the city hummed, lives happening, stories unfolding. Somewhere, someone was making a choice, stopping to help, being kind, changing everything without knowing it. Theo closed his eyes, felt Elena's breathing slow, heard Maya's soft snoring through the wall, his family, his home, his life. Not perfect. Nothing ever was, but real, honest, built on respect and trust and the kind of love that weathers storms. Maybe that was the real happy ending. Not the wedding, not the money, not the success, just this. Three people, together, choosing each other, every day. That was enough. That was everything, the end.